I want to raise a daughter who hopefully is comfortable in her own skin as much as possible. And they're going to find so much shit out there on their own. I want them to have a home base where they get love and nurtured, because there's only so much stuff out there that I have no control over. Kids and
Yeah.
bullshit. I'm sure, I can't control everything, but I can make the home base a place of love and acceptance. And we don't keep any secrets in this house. We talk about everything. I apologize to my children. Some people think that's so weird. I'm like, I don't understand why. They're human beings and I'm not
Weird.
perfect.
I think it's weird people think that's weird.
You would be surprised, or maybe
I
not.
know. I'm not surprised. I've seen it too. And I'm like, no, it's weird that you think that's weird to show your children that you're human, because like you said, we idolized our parents. And then
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when that bubble busted, whew, that was
Right.
awful. It really did a disservice to us. I think that happened to a lot of us, especially in the 80s. Our parents just
Right.
hid a lot. They were quiet. They just did their thing. We thought they were like perfect, had all the answers. And then that bubble was busted and we're like, what in the world? And then many of us become like teenagers and our whole world turns upside down because we're like, wait, you're supposed to have all the answers, but you're the one causing all the problems. What just happened here? And I think you make a really good point that, and I was gonna touch on this too, is the beautiful thing is, because a lot of this is just so overwhelming and oh my goodness and daunting, but the beautiful thing is that when we have our own daughters, we know all this. And so we
Mm-hmm.
know that our daughters are looking to us and that we can be a strong but authentic presence for them, and that they can come to us, they can be their own person, but we will always be there for them. And that, yeah, we'll guide them, but we'll also let them be who they are. And I'll tell you, so how old is your daughter? She's two and
2.5.
a half. Okay. So my daughters are 16, 12, 10, and 5. My
Mm.
sons are almost 15 and just turned 9. And so my daughters are a little bit older, and it is, Jen, you have so much to look forward to. It is,
Really?
yes, it is amazing. It's amazing. And people are like, oh my gosh, you've got so many teenagers. And I'm like, the teenagers are not what's hard on me, is the 5-year-old. Like
Yeah.
the teenagers are amazing human beings. They're compassionate. They are aware of what's going on in the world. They're kind. They are so fun to talk to hang out with, to all of those things. And I remember when I was, I think, 14, my mom had, she she was always out. She was still married, but she was always out partying. And I remember one time just getting a big argument with her because she'd come home drunk. My dad and I would have to carry her inside, all that kind of thing. And I remember one time arguing with her at 14 years old, and I'm like, I just remember yelling at her, I just want you to be my friend. And
Mm.
she's like, I will never be your friend, and I never want to be your friend. And that broke my heart then, and it breaks my heart now, especially now that I have daughters that age, and I'm honored and delighted that they want to be my friend and want
Mm-hmm.
me to be their friend. So yeah, you have so much to look forward to because you're putting all this work into yourself right now, and in turn breaking all these cycles and putting all this loving work and, like you said, this safe space for your kids to be in. And when our kids are young and grow up in that, as they become teenagers, and yeah, we've gone through like, they each go through like a hard year. Those hormones are so hard on them.
Oh, I
So
bet.
hard.
I remember.
Yeah, but we also remember that no one held space for us when we were going,
True.
right? No
Yep.
one, I guarantee, no one held space for me going through that, and I'm pretty sure no one held space for you going through that.
No.
We get to
No.
hold
Yeah.
space for our daughters and our sons when they go through that really tough year or 2 or 3, depending on, each kid is different. And we get to hold space for them. And I remember telling my oldest daughter when she was really struggling, and her and I have never really had confrontation or issues, but during that, there was like a year or 2 there where it was really rough for her. And I remember telling her, listen, babe, I know this is really hard on you. This is your first time going through all this, but it's also my first time as your mom going through all this. So let's go through it together. And then she'd cry and I cry.
Oh, I love that.
So you have so much to look forward to because you're doing the work now, and it will be evident as your daughters get older, I promise.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's very, for me, I have to catch myself not projecting on how I was and how it was for me, that I'm like,
Mm.
oh God, trying to gear up for teenagehood because I know what it was like for me and how my kids are so great. My son is so empathetic and so kind.
Mm.
And he is just, I had people try previously tell me to toughen him up.
Mm.
And I remember I spent a couple months, to myself, kind of, contemplating, am I doing him a disservice? By letting him be so gentle and I realized I will never try to change that boy ever. And I just made a decision in my own heart that I promised him to myself. He doesn't know I ever went through that, but that I will never try to change him. He is so beautiful. And just and he watches me, he's older, but he watches me. And I sometimes do like sticky notes in my mirror, about, affirmations and I saw him, he wrote a sticky note to himself, I am good.
Oh, I
And
know.
I know, he didn't tell me about it. I just happened to find it. And I just thought, I mean, that tells you our kids watch us. It doesn't matter so much what we say. They watch what we're doing. And my kids are watching me not be perfect, but they're watching me walk through stuff and healing and speaking and sharing and crying and laughing. And I just hope they learn that all that's okay for them.
I love when my kids call me out on something. I'm like, ooh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that I was doing that. Or I didn't
Yeah,
see that
that'll
I was
be
doing
fun.
that again. And not in a mean way, just like,
No,
so I'm an Aquarius. I don't know if you're into astrology, but
little bit. You can
yeah, I'm
school
an
me.
Aquarius, and which is probably not surprising. And my oldest daughter is a Virgo, so Aquarians, like, we're not the most level-headed. Like, we're very like I said, my teenage self was my full Aquarian mode. Well, Virgos are a lot more level-headed, and so her and I are like, we just have this great yin and yang relationship. But so she'll tell me, she'll call me out on stuff and be like, you know, you do realize, she's even said to me, you do realize that it's okay if you say no to us and we'll be okay. Because sometimes I go the opposite way of my parents, and I think so much about how my kids feel that sometimes I have a hard time setting ground rules and boundaries with them,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And so she'll call me out on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, and I'll go to my kids, especially my teenagers, and I ask, like, what would you do in this situation? Because not like anything, wild or out of proportion, but just how would you feel about this, or what would you do? Because as adults, we tend to overthink everything, and we care so much about what other people think, and we're like, well, this person, I might disappoint this person and I might upset this person. Whereas kids are like, well, no, they're very black and white sometimes. Like, actually, this is what you should do. And I love that about them. So I love the relation with my kids, and I love, like, I am definitely their parent and they're my children, but there is such this beautiful back and forth thread of respect and love. And people will ask me, like, why are your kids, whatever, so compassionate or kind or respectful or whatever? And I'm like, because I treat them with kindness and compassion, and I respect them and I listen to them. Now, obviously that's not going to always work out that way, and
Right.
there's puberty and there's mental health stuff and everything else, but to have that groundwork there helps you navigate whatever comes your way or whatever will come their way, for you to be able to be there for them and them to turn to you.